Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to do my second movie review. And today I am here to review Lilo and Stitch, the live action remake. I decided to see this movie today. I wanted to see it opening day, and I saw it in 3D. I had a really goofy theater experience. I came there and I ordered food, and I was walking to the theater. I had to go to the bathroom, and it's funny because I ended up getting some kind of light food poisoning, and so I was worried about that. Like, oh shit, I'm gonna eat popcorn when I have food poisoning. That's probably not a good idea. But then, as I was walking into the theater, I remembered, oh yeah, I need 3D glasses. So I had to go back to the counter and ask, and that was funny. And then I sit down, and I think that with family movies, with kids movies, it's a lot of the times it's a free for all because you get a lot of weird characters, you get a lot of family dysfunction that not like terrible dysfunction, hopefully, but just a very funny experience. And so, I get in the movie, and thankfully, it was actually a good experience. I mean, overall, but it was still goofy. But thankfully, I got there when the trailers were already starting. So I didn't have to sit through any stupid advertisements about, health insurance companies and shit like that while I'm watching a movie. But then I had to go to the bathroom, and then I come back, and I was like, okay, this is a chill, theater experience, because there's not many people here, but it's weird, because people show up at the weirdest times, because people were showing up, when the movie was halfway over. They were showing up when it was, 15 minutes into the movie and shit, there was this one family, and they sat in the row behind me, and I don't know what was going on, because there was just, constant movement, constant shuffling. At one point, I heard something drop. At another point, one of them, I don't know if it was a little girl or the adult, but she took out her jacket, and she hit me over the head with it. I mean, she straight up hit me over the head with it. I don't know why she did that. That was the most weird thing to happen when you're sitting in a movie theater. This random woman comes up to you from behind, whips you in the head with her jacket, and then this was the funny part though. I heard her whisper and say, "Sorry." It was so weird. God, you have a weird experience when you see a kid's movie, man. And and there were a lot of people, they had, blankets, and they were, sitting back with blankets on, and I thought, that's why I said people were, chilling out in this theater, but, still, that was bizarre. And then that same family, they left before the movie was even over. They left when everyone was on the beach at the end. You guys know that part of the original movie. They left at that point. What a weird time to leave the theater. But overall, and then about 3/4 of the way through the movie, I had to go to the bathroom again. But after I came back, I started having allergy problems. And I was like, oh shit, we're going to do this now. And I was suffering the last 20 minutes of the movie, and I still have some allergies right now. But luckily they kind of went away. They're not as bothersome. But yeah, that was a goofy experience. And to end it all, I want to end it with a nice thing, because at the very end, when I left, there was another family leaving. And I think their 6 or 7 year old boy, he held the door for me, and and I thought that was really nice. I thought, okay, that kid's got good parents, and I think their parents liked the movie. They were like, that was pretty good. So now let's get to my thoughts on the movie. I was excited to see this movie, honestly, ever since they announced it, just because it's a little bit different in terms of being live action. Like, I wanted to see, like, Stitch interacting with people, like, the gremlins, stuff like that. I thought that sounds fun. And also, I heard people, complaining about the actress who plays Nani, complaining that she's not dark enough or something. And I thought, you know what, like, I want to support this movie. I want to see this movie so that I can, support her and support the movie, because I think that that's bad. Even though I don't like gender swaps and race swaps, this is a different thing, because it's like, really? Like, she's not dark enough to be the character? Like, that's just not a valid criticism. That's just racism. So, yeah, I was really excited about this movie. I did hear they made some changes. Number one, they remember the big fat guy who had the ice cream? Well, they changed that to a snow cone. I thought that was weird. And then they changed they changed the main villain, and they did not they didn't have that giant, like, whale guy in the movie. I don't know what his name was. I can't remember. But he was a pretty good villain. He was a alright villain, and he's not in the movie. But I heard that was completely for budgetary reasons. Other than that, I wasn't really aware of the other changes that they would do. And I would just say, overall, I apologize for not, coming right out with what I think, because I know it's about 7 minutes in, but I just wanted to talk about my experience. But anyways, I wasn't really a big fan of this movie. I thought that the changes that they made were really bizarre. And there were a lot of times where I was like, why did you rush that? Like, it's strange, because this movie is an hour and 48 minutes long. The original is only an hour and 25. But somehow, this movie feels the same length as the original, because there are so many scenes from the original that they rushed through, that they didn't do right. There were a lot of weird things they added too. There's this recurring thing with Capri Sun. There's this part where Lilo, she has a gun and then she's drinking a Capri Sun at the same time. That was really weird. There was this weird subplot that they added where the social worker, she makes Lilo and Nani, she makes them get health insurance, or like she wants them to get health insurance. It's like this whole subplot throughout the entire movie is worrying about Lilo and Nani getting health insurance. Like, really? Really? We had to have that in Lilo and Stitch in a kid's movie? Like, what the hell? Like, what the fuck is up with that? And then, yeah, I don't like it when they change things that don't need to be changed. I've had that happen too. Like, when I've made a movie script, when I've written a movie script, and I'll just edit it so many times that I'm just changing too much, to where my first movie that I'm still going to be making at some point, my first original movie, Distorted Cuts, I wrote the script, and then I just kept on editing it and changing it and changing it. And eventually, like, a lot of the stuff just completely lost its original intent, and it just felt like a completely different thing. And that's kind of the feeling that I got with this movie, is this feeling of, like, why are you changing all these things? Like, I know that with live action remakes, the complaint is always, why are you just making the same movie again? But honestly, I don't know. I don't know anymore, because, like, this movie made these changes, and I despise them for the most part. I can't remember the original where Stitch first breaks out he first crashes on Earth. I can't remember what he immediately does, but I did like, there's a scene that they added in this where he crashes a wedding. I thought that was funny. I liked that part. there were some good jokes in the movie. I did have fun with some of the movie, but I just didn't like the changes that they made. And I just, there were things that I didn't like throughout it. And the big thing was that healthcare storyline that was just really bizarre. And there was just like a general like weirdness about the movie to where like, I don't know, like it's another thing of like where you can see the difference between movies nowadays and then movies from 2002. I remember the big thing I didn't like was Courtney B. Vance. Because because you know, I did love a lot of the casting in the movie. I thought that the Grand Councilwoman, she was great. I thought Lilo was pretty good. She had some scenes where she was bad, but it was more so to do with the direction and kind of rushing through scenes. Like, I would say the big scene that I thought was terrible was the part where Lilo wishes for a friend. Because in the original scene, it's this really, really heartfelt scene, and it's like a really sweet, you know, quiet scene. But in this one, they play this loud, like, mystical adventure music, and it's like, why are you playing that music? And there's just a lot of little things like that throughout the movie that just don't fix what's not broken. Like, yeah, make some changes, but make changes where you think there were actual problems. Don't just make changes for the sake of making changes. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Courtney B. Vance. How could I forget? You know, in the original movie, Bubbles. You know, he was one of my favorite characters, you know, and also the voodoo dolls. Remember in the original how she takes, like, spoons and makes them into voodoo dolls? She doesn't do that in this one. I thought that was really disappointing. It was another thing of like, why did you leave that out? Like, out of all the things, like, why would you leave that out? And also, in the original movie, Lilo goes ham on the bully girl, and, you know, she gets on her and she just pounds on her and makes her cry. Like, it is amazing to watch. But in this one, they really pussified that part because all she does is push her off the stage. And then, let's see, okay, this is a part I actually liked. If you remember in the original movie, they steal the bully girl's kitty car and they ride around in it. I thought that was, you know, great, you know, but the part that I loved was later in the movie, Stitch actually returns the car to the bully girl and it just completely falls apart. I thought that was hilarious. But Bubbles, back to my original point, Bubbles was terrible. He was the absolute worst part about this movie because he just stuck out like a sore thumb. He was so not like his character, and he was just, I hated him. I hated him so bad. I hated what they did to that character. You know, they took a character who, he's this big, huge, like, intimidating guy, and, you know, he's clearly like a Men in Black character, which just makes the whole thing a lot funnier and a lot more fun and, you know, whatever. But they make him, like, dress up like he's on a vacation, like he's in a vacation movie, and he's horrible because he's not the character. And so I hated that. Like, just, that was bad. And as I said, I like Nani. I mean, she was really hot. They didn't really have any good eye candy shots of her in the movie, though, but still, I really liked her a lot. I thought she was pretty good. I thought that Lilo was pretty good, as I said before. Stitch was great because, you know, that is the same actor who played him in the original. And, yeah. Oh, yeah, and then I liked seeing the actress who played Nani in the cartoon. She played the social worker. I thought that was a really nice touch and a good tribute to the original. Now, here's more stuff to say, is that I didn't like what they did with Pleakley and then the Jumba. I did not like Jumba. Jumbo was voiced by Zach Galifianakis, who is usually really good. You know, I saw him in It's Kind of a Funny Story, which I think is a really underrated comedy romance movie. I also saw him in Dinner for Schmucks, which I would say that's a guilty pleasure movie, but he is actually the funniest part of that movie, and he is really, really good. So, but he was terrible in this movie because, again, he just did not fit the character that he was playing. The voice was just nowhere near the same, and he was a completely different character. And then he becomes the villain of the movie, spoiler alert, and it just is not believable at all. It's just very, very, like, okay, we gotta have a villain at the end of this movie because we couldn't get the bigger guy. I don't know what they should have done at the end of this movie because I don't know who else could have been the main villain, you know, besides the social worker who was like, you know, kind of a biatch. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else, if there's anything else that there's this long, I don't think it was like this in the original, but again, I have not seen the original in quite a while. So please forgive me if I get anything wrong from the original. But in the original, I remember Nani saving Stitch, but there's this weird thing in this version where they try to make you think that Stitch is going to die. There's this part where Stitch forces Lilo to let go of him so that he can sink to the bottom of the ocean. And it's all foreshadowed at the beginning of the movie, where they talk about how if Stitch lands in water, his body is going to sink to the bottom of the ocean, and so he's screwed if he lands in the ocean. So they tried to play this trick on you and foreshadow that, you know, Stitch would die in this version. And you know that this is the pussy 2025 Disney. They're not going to do that. You know, like they're not going to kill Stitch in their live action Lilo and Stitch. Like, they would never have the balls to do that nowadays. But they do this whole fake out where he's just sitting at the bottom of the ocean waiting to die. It's really, really weird. And then they get him on the beach. There's this whole extended, like, 5-minute fake out sequence where, oh no, he's dead. Wah, wah, wah. And then he's not. And it's that classic cliche thing where characters think that another character is dead, and then, oh, he's alive, yay. We knew it. You know? And yeah. And here's the thing that I'm really sad about is that the casting with the main characters was good, but you couldn't really enjoy it very much because of the bad movie, of the bad plot and what they changed about the movie. And so I couldn't really enjoy the sister dynamic very much. I couldn't really enjoy the Lilo and Stitch dynamic very much, which that's the whole movie, you know, that's all about their relationship. And I just was not a fan. I thought, I just sat there thinking, like, damn, like this, I was kind of cringing. I had this face. It's too bad you couldn't see my face while I was watching, like, the ending of the movie, but I just had this face like, wow, really? Why did they make these changes? Why? Why? But overall, I mean, it's an okay movie. I mean, I don't think that you should see it in 3D. There's not really anything 3D in the movie that's very good. There is, like, one part where, like, a picture gets tossed in the air and it comes toward the screen. That was kind of hilarious because they haven't done that kind of thing since, like, 2011. You know, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I would recommend taking a kid to see this movie, but I would prefer if you just showed them the original at home, because I don't think I got to see the original in theaters. And I think that that was another kind of subconscious reason that I wanted to see this movie, is because I wanted to have that experience of seeing Lilo and Stitch in theaters. I saw the original for the first time back at home, at my old home, which is coming back soon, and in my brother's old room. And I think we watched it on like a little laptop or the little TV, and I had like fish sticks for dinner. Like, it was just like a boring, bland, regular night. But the movie was so good that it just completely elevated the evening. It just made it a really good evening. This movie, it didn't really elevate much of anything in my mood, because it was, I don't know, like, and it's really tough, because I look back at, I think the last live action Disney, animated to live action movie that I saw in theaters was Beauty and the Beast. And it's really tough to say whether or not this is better or worse than that movie. I guess it's probably better, because Beauty and the Beast had that stupid plague subplot that was stupid, and the magic book or whatever. That was dumb. But this movie still, it had a lot of unnecessary changes. And I just can't wholeheartedly say that I like this movie. I just thought it was okay. I'm glad that the cast got to do the movie. Like, I'm glad that the actress who played Lilo, she got to have her big breakout role. But this was one thing that I forgot. I'm sorry to sound like a downer, but I wasn't a fan of this movie again. But there's a really weird line that they added to the movie. It's probably the strangest line that I've ever heard in a kid's movie, and that's saying something. So this is the part where Lilo is showing Nani Stitch's superpower, where he puts his claw on the record, and then when she opens his mouth, he starts projecting the music out of his mouth. That's a classic scene from the original movie. And remember, in the original movie, she's watching her little sister, and she's watching the whole thing. Well, in this version, for some reason, her sister is completely aloof and not looking at her at all, and she's on her cell phone. And again, like, I could probably go through this whole movie, like, honestly, like, I'm not saying that it wasn't realistic, but it's like, that's not the characters from the original. But now this is the weird line that they added. She says, "That's Stitch's superpower. The only superpower that I have is when I run too fast, I fart." That was really weird. Like, that was just so out of nowhere. And as soon as she says that, by the way, they immediately cut to the next scene. It's like, what the hell was up with that? Like, that was just so out of nowhere. It was so weird. It was so random. There's another part, I think, where... Yeah, there's a part in the movie where a character looks straight at the screen. A character does a fourth wall break like Deadpool. We need to stop doing fourth wall breaks in movies unless they really mean something. Like in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or, something like that. Like, we need to stop being so meta. Because these movies need to get back to being good. And the way they get back to being good is by growing up and stopping with the meta crap humor. Because the meta humor is just, it's almost like a defense mechanism of like, ha ha ha, if I'm laughing at my own movie, then no one else is going to laugh at my movie. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't how it was used in the movie, but I'm just making a general observation. Like, I'm sick of meta humor. I'm sick of meta moments. I'm sick of meta storytelling. So, in terms of food, remember when I was talking about in the Ice Cream Man review, which is our 700 subscriber video? Please go check it out. Yes, Safi continuously interrupts me through the whole thing as usual. It's very fun. But there's this part where I talked about how Safi and I, back in 2021, we were getting bomb pops at the store and all these like frozen treats. And we were really disappointed by how small they've made the bomb pops. And then they also have what are like essentially mini bomb pops. And they're basically as big as a butt plug. And they're really tiny and they're just, it's like, what is this? This is not a bomb pop. And they'll call them something else too. And I will say that one of them, it had lime flavor instead of lemon. And I actually think that the flavor works better than the lemon in the real bomb pop. But the bomb pops, they have made them so small now because they're trying to promote like, oh, this is only this many calories. It's good for if you're on a diet. And it's like, who gives a fuck about being on a diet when you're eating ice cream or when you're having a bomb pop? So this movie, to me, it is like the modern bomb pop. It's small, it's flaccid, and it's disappointing. Excuse me, sorry. So anyways, again, I did have fun with this movie. I did laugh a couple times throughout, proudly. No one else laughed at the movie, too. That was another weird thing. I'm not the target audience for this movie, guys. Like, I'm a 26-year-old white man. I am not the target audience for Lilo and Stitch. And I was the only one in the entire theater laughing. So, yeah. That'll tell you something about this movie. I don't know what, but, maybe it'll speak to you. So please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought of this movie. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews, because no matter what anyone says about this channel, they can't say that I'm a liar. They can't say that I'm dishonest, because that's basically our whole idea as a channel, is that we keep things 100% honest. 100%. The first time that I ever got a fan recommendation, it was actually a good recommendation because I wanted to watch the movie. It was Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I just completely destroyed the movie. I did like a 30-minute rant. And it's like that, you'd think like, okay, a fan recommended this. You should probably like be nice to it because it's like the fan probably likes it. But it's like, no, I'm sorry. Like, the movie sucked. And this movie kind of was not very good too. It was just okay. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.